Welcome to the town of Alcañiz in Aragon, the northeast region of Spain. If you're just joining us, it is round 4 of the FIM CEV Repsol Championship, all new for 2015. If you don't know, it incorporates the Moto2 European Championship, the Superbike European Championship, which you probably just watched the race of there, and the Moto3 Junior World Championship, which we have race 2 of now. Now, just to recap on the championship so far, we have had 1 race in Moto3 in Portimao, 1 in Le Mans as part of the MotoGP weekend, and 2 in Catalonia. We had 1 earlier today at the spectacular MotorLand Aragón circuit, which you can see there on your screen. 7 left corners, 10 right-hand corners, and 2 nice long straights. The main back straight exactly 1,000 metres in length, I believe. And joining me, I have Harry Lloyd from MotoGP.com. And Harry, we were just saying that this weather, the changing conditions, how hot it has got, means that, I mean, you know, it's all changed for race 2. Do we throw the form book out the window?
Yeah, you know, I think that guys like Mir and like the guys on the podium, like Canet and like Stefano Valtellini, they're still going to be up there, you know. The temperatures won't drastically change too many things, but I think we will see a much slower race.
Yes.
And I think that that'll help some of those guys like Powie and like Balega, who kind of struggled down the lower half of the top 10 in race 1, and I think that'll give them a chance to close it up. And I think, / hope, that it'll be a much closer race, because it was a dominant performance from Mir, but, you know, that excitement just adds when it's a battle for first as opposed to a battle for second.
Well, as you said, we saw the times drop rapidly. Let's just recap. They have a day of practice. They actually have 2 days testing in each of the venues before they come here. Teams are allowed to do it within 2 weeks of the actual race, so they benefit from about 1,000 kilometres over a race weekend. Talked about earlier how teams use that to develop for the World Championship, and then they get 2 days. 2 days of testing, day of practice on the Friday, 2 qualifying sessions on the Saturday, which the best time from either of those sessions is used to decide the grid position for both races today. So the grid is the same from race 1, so the results from race 1 mean nothing now for race 2, realistically, in regards to the grid positions, which we'll run through with you shortly. And as we said earlier, though, Juan Mir taking a great race victory, and Aaron Canet coming back from 21st on the grid after his free place penalty he had, for slowing down the warm-up lap in Barcelona to 3rd, which was a spectacular race. But we had a red flag. It was red flag with 13 out of 15 laps, with an incident between Senna Yamada and Arbolino, and I'm not sure if those guys will be taking their places on the grid for race 2.
No, we'll have to wait just a couple of seconds to find out. Yeah, as you were saying, Canet starting way down the order in 21st. This race will be starting in 18th spot, as his 3-place grid penalty was only for 1 race. As you were saying, in Barcelona, it took over a minute and a half from the first rider lining up on the grid to Canet to claim his position. Oh, and already we have some problems there. That looks to be Lawson Waters, the Australian, so an unfortunate start to the race for him. That's on
the warm-up lap. That's actually on the exit lap, isn't it, from pits to line up on the grid, so that's not warm-up.
And that looks to be turn 13, so that's going to be quite a push back to the pits to see if he can get there on time. Looks like it's a bike problem straight away.
Mechanical fault, yeah. So there's an issue there. As we said, unknown for these guys. They've not run a bike in these temperatures all season. Is that spraying? No, there's something coming out of that, the looks of it.
I think it looks like it's just a cable of some sort, maybe. Yeah. But no, that's the other thing, is that in these hot conditions, it's not just the riders physically that can suffer, but the bike can suffer. In the first few years of Moto3, in the World Championship stage, we saw the KTM really be the dominant bike as opposed to the Honda. But then when we got to hot tracks like Sepang, the KTMs really struggled with that heat, and Honda were able to significantly close the gap. So that could be another thing here, is maybe some of those bikes that do have that tiny bit more top speed are able to not quite use that to their advantage as the heat limits them a bit. And
there is one man, the man who will start from pole position and winner from race 1. And as you say, it's just a bit of an unknown quantity, this weather. It sounds like we're bigging it up too much than we are, but it's purely because when we spoke to the teams, they weren't sure on what effect it would have. We know the times will be slower this afternoon than they were this morning, but because of the way it was run yesterday with qualifying, everyone going out at the same time with different problems of setup and things like that, we're not quite sure, for instance, if Mir will have that pace, you know, above everybody else like he did in race 1. So it could be very, very interesting for race 2, it's got to be said.
Yeah, and Mir seemed to be one of the riders who suffered the most in the hot conditions. His time's dropping by 2 seconds in qualifying between the 2 different sessions, whereas some guys like Tony Arbolino, who we saw up there fighting for the podium before his unfortunate coming together with Senna Yamada, his time's only dropped by 1.5 seconds. So maybe that little half a second difference could be the real thing that, you know, allows Arbolino to get up there and get close to Mir.
No, totally. We should have all of the riders pretty much just getting the last factory release bike coming through there at the end. Just if you're wondering why you see the bikes being pushed, I'm pointing point this out just because a lot of people kind of get in touch and say, oh, they're stalling the bikes on the grid. No, when they line up on the grid, they have to be pushed by one of their team members. They have to turn the bike off to allow it to be to go to the front of the grid, as we have another junior Leglise bike just lining up. But pretty much all of the riders now taking their place, and we're getting, this is going to be an exciting race too, Harry, I've got to be said.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Lawson Waters will be unable to start the race as he has stopped at turn 13, as we showed just previously, and pit lane has now closed, so he'll be unable to start. Unfortunate for him, he took his first points last time out in Barcelona in race 1, 15th, his first time scoring points this year, so bit of a disappointment for him.
And just to recap on this, again, something we mentioned earlier, but for those of you just joining us, this is really a feeder series for the Moto3 World Championship. We had the top 5 riders from the Moto3 CV Championship last year go through. We were saying Fabio Quartararo, the winner, the Frenchman, making an incredible impression, Maria Herrera, Hiroki Oni, Danny Kent's teammate, Gabriel Rodrigo, and the 5th one?
The 5th one I can't remember right now.
Oh,
but
no,
there's a huge plethora of riders, you know, and it's not just recently. You have guys like Bradley Smith, like Scott Redding.
Jorge Navarro, yes. Sorry.
Anyway, you have guys like Pol Espargaro, like Bradley Smith, who've come through the Spanish Championship even years ago when it wasn't quite as big as it was now, but they're now up in MotoGP, and you know, it is, to be the best, you have to beat the best, and you have to be beating the best for a long time. And really, right now, all of these riders are the best Moto3 riders outside of the World Championship in the world.
Definitely, and as you say, you know, you've got the Red Bull rookies, we've got the Shell Advanced Age Talent Cup, which feed through into this with Bo Benschneider, for instance, dominating in the Red Bull rookies, taking 4 out of 4 race wins, but struggling to kind of break into the top 6 here in the CV. And Davide Pizzoli, you see him there, 2nd place on the grid for the Italian on the Husqvarna.
Yep, and Pizzoli, he had a pretty tough season last year in CEV. He finished 29th overall with a best finish of 11th at Valencia, which was his only time in the points. But this season, you know, he seems to be up there much more frequently, able to get into those points on a much more regular basis.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a problem in race 1, didn't he? He was there at the start and then recovered to, I think it was 12th or 13th he finally crossed the line. But it was a shame because he was really in the mix right from the word go.
Yes, and here's Jaume Masia. Originally, we had thought that he had finished on the podium as he was down in Parc Fermé, but because of the red flag and the having to go back a lap and who crossed the line when, he was unfortunately demoted to 4th, so unable to take to the podium for the youngest rider in the class.
Yeah, obviously beaten by his teammate Aaron Canet as well, which is a slight shame. But yeah, you can see what we mean about him having young eyes and a baby face. He's a very small rider, probably the smallest in the field by quite a long way, Jaume Masia. 14 years of age, from Valencia, then riding for junior team Australia Glitzier 0-0. And as we move to 4th on the grid, it is the Dutch racing team rider Bo Benschneider.
Yep, as you were saying before, absolutely incredible performances in the Red Bull rookies, raced with MotoGP at Assen last time out, double victory in front of his home fans, so a really strong result. He's obviously on the KTM in Red Bull rookies and on a Honda here, so you know, maybe that difference in bike, also there's slightly different technical rules in the Red Bull rookies, but he was up there for most of the race in race 1, dropped off a bit towards the end, so it'll be interesting to see what the aggressive young Dutchman can do. Yeah,
and just to confirm, as we say, they try and make it the conditions identical from the FIM CEV Repsol Moto3 Junior World Championship to the Moto3 World Championship, same tyres, same bikes, so they're on Dunlops, the same technical regulations. And Nicola Balega there, the Sky VR 46 Academy rider, coming under the tutelage of Valentino Rossi.
Yep, he and a handful of other VR46 riders were out last week at Misano doing some bike training. So, you know, not only is it the full sponsorship type thing, but you also get to be under the tutelage of Valentino Rossi. Obviously, one of the most impressive races ever.
Yeah, Junior Team VR46 Riders Academy is the official name of the team. As you say, he's on a KTM, and that's number 48, Lorenzo Dalla Porta, for the Leglise Academy team.
Yep, and he was another rider who was up there in race 1. We had a pretty big group of riders fighting for second on the grid. You know, it was about 6 or 7 riders, sometimes more. A fair few dropped off towards the end, but Dalla Porta is definitely one to watch.
Yeah, and his teammate actually will be behind him on the grid, starting from the head of row 3. We have Albert Arenas, 18-year-old from Spain, the 3rd Leglise Academy rider in the top 8, again, obviously, on a Husqvarna. He was 10th overall in the CV last year, managed a best place finish for 3rd in Valencia after not being able to take part in all the races, and there we have him, with a nice cold towel on the neck. Probably one of the best ways to keep calm.
Yep, and he's another one of these guys who has a lot of interaction with the GP riders. He and Alex Rins train together a fair bit, so, you know, he also has that tutelage to come in and help him. Speaking of Alex Rins has started his own team in the Spanish Championship. They're not here this weekend, but they did have a pretty good showing in Barcelona last time out.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing more of them actually as the season goes on. I know Rins is really keen, like Valentino Rossi was saying, to help with bringing through the next level of Spanish riders, because you can see with a championship like this how important it is to have these structures in place so that riders don't have to make as big a step up as they used to the World Championship. It gives them all the chance to succeed.
Yep, and here is the Italian pre-Moto3 champion from last year, Tony Arbolino, racing with the SICK 58 Squadra Corsa run by Paolo Simoncelli. Both he and his teammate Stefano Valtellini had excellent races. Unfortunately, Arbolino was taken out when Senna Yamada high-sided in race 1, but certainly that confidence from being in the top 5 will boost him, and I reckon we're going to see him back up there again. And
that answers the question about whether or not he would be on the grid for the race. So good news that he has managed to recover from that. He did walk away, I think, a little bit less sore than Senna Yamada, and that bike, they only have one bike in this class, so they've actually done brilliant work to get that out and get it ready again.
Yep, and here is Martin van Haren on the with the KRP team on the FTR KTM. This KRP team is famous for bringing through British riders, but they've started to branch out now, bring through a young Belgian rider, one of those riders that we don't really see too much in the World Championship.
And it is the first season they've ever lined up with a non-British rider on the grid to start with, but they have got Rory Skinner, he's currently 13 and riding the Red Bull rookies, I should say, coming through to ride in the last couple of races of the season, so they will re-establish that British connection through the Racing Steps Foundation.
And that is the big thing with this class, is you do want to start as young as possible, you know. Obviously, Rory Skinner is literally waiting until the day he turns 14 to be able to race. And here we come to Kyril Powie. Again, another rider who's really impressed us a lot. He had a bit of a difficult race 1. He fell back in the second half after making a pretty solid start. But, you know, he's finished in the top 10 in every race he's taken part in. And this is coming from racing, you know, 115cc underbone scooters, which is a very different world to Grand Prix motorcycles.
Yeah, I can't imagine how different that would be. As you say, Asia Dream Cup rider and race winner back in the day. I say back in the day, he's 16, the Malaysian for the Honda team, Asia, but on a Honda, funnily enough. Yeah, already, what is it, 3 podiums this year, though? So he's shown his class, but as you said, those 2 9th places, I'm sure in that last race, for instance, he'll be a little bit disappointed that he wasn't out battling for the lead.
Yeah, and that's the other wonderful thing about this class, is there are teams like the Honda Asia team that, you know, that they bring through riders that probably wouldn't have a chance due to, you know, the money constraints otherwise to come through and race at this world level. And here we go to the man of last race, certainly one of the strongest rides, Aaron Canet, playing it up for the camera, starting in 18th now, so a full row ahead after his hijinks in the Barcelona round. And he'll be one who'll definitely be wary of these hotter conditions as he's having to fight through the field, so certainly the heat will probably affect him more, especially things like tyre life.
He's still leading the championship, obviously, Aaron Canet, despite, as you say, 3rd place and Mir taking the race win. That, actually, 3rd place was his worst result of the season so far, so it tells you what a great season he has. 2 second places and 2 wins before that. But let's have a look, confirmation of your final starting grid then. A front row of one Mir pole sitter and race winner from race 1, Davide Pizzoli, Jaume Masia, and your second row, Bo Benschneider, Nicola Balega, and Lorenzo Dall'Importa.
Yep, then bringing up the 3rd row is Albert Arenas, Tony Arbolino, and Martin van Haren. As we talked about, huge mix of different riders. A lot of Italian riders, surprisingly enough. The Italians now choosing to come to the Junior World Championship as opposed to their own domestic championship.
I know a couple of them ride, as you say, exactly as you're saying, in the CIV as well, but yet this has become the real proving ground, hasn't it? For all of those young talent riders out there, you want to get spotted. Just look at Juan Mir. In Le Mans, came from 27th to 1st. You know, a month later it's being announced that he signed with the Leopard team, obviously, in Moto3 World Championship. Right, Powie, Valtellini, Bezzecchi, row 4. Yamada has recovered to take his place on the grid in 13th and row 5 with Petrarca and Date. Toba, Polanco and Cane make up row 6.
Yeah, a huge number of Italians on this field. I think it's just now seeing these graphics that I realised that perhaps Italians are the most dominant. But there's a German in 19th spot, Maximilian Kappler, ahead of Enzo Boulon, who is leading Alicia View, Adam Norridin, another one of those Asia talent team riders, Cristiano Carpi, Simon Daniello, Lawson Waters, who won't be starting from 25th, and then Juanjo Nunez bringing up the rear on the Ongetta junior team machine.
Yeah, and as we see the riders go around for their warm-up lap, as we say, I doubt there's going to be any more shenanigans like we saw from Canet in Barcelona, where he's starting on pole, I believe. Oh, was it 2nd, wasn't it? And yeah, he took so long to get round to his place, over a minute and a half, that the safety car was even him shout. Although, saying that, he looks to be dropping back there, or is that Masia letting Canet through?
But that's the other good thing about this Junior World Championship, is it does give riders a chance to realise what they can and can't do.
Exactly.
It's going to be a lot less troublesome for him to do a small mistake like that than if he were at World Championship level, where, you know, not only would there be a 3-place grid penalty, but there'd probably be a heavy money fine and all that sort of thing.
They're young, they've got to learn, exactly as you're saying.
This entire championship is all about learning, from the riders to the mechanics to the manufacturers. It's all about learning.
Well, as we mentioned, I think we touched on it in race 1, but it's It's so true. So many of the teams use this championship as well, not just to bring through the young riders, but also to develop the bikes. As while the bikes technically have to be exactly the same as the Moto3 World Championship bikes in specification, there's no development freeze in the CEV. So they can work on the bikes, and you'll find teams like Leopard Racing, you'll find a Junior League East team, a lot of the Estrella Galizia guys as well. They'll be developing that bike to be used in next year's World Championship. So these bikes, as we saw with Quartaro last year, actually some of the circuits hold quicker times than the actual Moto3 World Championship guys.
Yep, exactly. Nicolo Balega, both of his mechanics are in a full factory KTM dress. So clearly there's some people from Austria flying over to give him a helping hand, but also so that he can help them develop a bike. I believe he's one of their official test riders. So alongside all of his CEV duties, he also goes out to tracks like Almeria and does a lot of testing for them as KTM look to continue to improve their product.
And that's, as we mentioned as well, it's one of those things, you get 1,000 kilometres on average of a CEV weekend, and say the Moto3, if you have your 2 races, because of the days practice, 2 days testing, 2 qualifying sessions, and then when you have your 2 races, which compared to a normal, I believe, World Championship weekend or race weekend is about 250 kilometres. So excellent opportunity to develop the rider, develop the bike, and as we said, they've tried to make the platform as identical as possible, same tyres, same machinery, if not a little bit better, and an incredibly stiff competition. Look at them all taking their time coming down the back straight. The safety cars actually caught them up, having to...
And that's Canet at the back, so...
Oh, it's not, is it? Maybe he hasn't learned that lesson.
He's still a bit ahead of the safety car. I think the safety car in Barcelona physically had to slow itself down to make sure it didn't hit him. So yeah, I'm sure that he'll have learned his lesson.
In fact, yeah, that's actually, I think, Yamada at the back, is it? No, it's...
And I think that might actually be Lawson Waters.
That is, and you say, has he retaken his position?
To restart. The red helmet on the blue bike, a bit confusing, so apologies for that. But he will be able to restart this race from his good position.
Well, that's a great shout, actually, then, because Lawson Waters was lining up 25th of the grid anyway, so it was only one place off the last spot. But he had technical problems on the outlap, actually, as they were lining up on the grid originally before the warm-up lap. But you're right, there he is, taking his place. Will he be made start from the back, or will they just
Luckily
leave
for us, the starting grid is almost right outside our commentary box, so we can see it no matter what, and it looks like he will be starting from...
25th, yeah.
Yep.
No, they've made him start at the back, so he will be from 26, I think.
Yes, unfortunately for him, riders just getting into position as they get ready for their final race of the day, race 2. You know, maybe the body's hurting a bit, so it'll be an interesting one over race distance.
So the lights will come on and they'll stay on for 3 seconds. When they go out, we are underway in this Moto3 Junior World Championship race, and we are away. Amir gets a good start again, but number 73, Pizzoli, looks like he might have to charge him into turn 1. Coming down into the first corner, coming up the inside as well. Is that Masia?
Yep, Masia, again, an excellent start, but running a bit wide on corner exit, so it looks like...
He'll try the block pass here into turn 2, I think. Yeah, and he makes it stick.
And almost an identical repeat to race 1. Mir's already off like a scalded cat, just running away with it. And, you know, the riders behind him will be having nightmares of what happened in race 1.
That's incredible. That's just in the drag to the first 2 corners, and he's opened up what looks like a 3/10 of a second gap already. This boy is quick, I'll give him that. But it is Masia in second, with Pizzoli just behind him by the looks of it. Arbolino 4th, Ben Schneider, great start from him 5th, Dalla Porta 6th, Arena 7th, and Balega in 8th.
It looks like Ben Schneider, he maybe doesn't quite have the power coming out of those corners as he gets swallowed up by a couple of those Leglise Academy bikes. So hopefully Ben Schneider can make it up through the corners and on the brakes.
Yeah, of course, Dutch racing team, not quite the size of one of the bigger teams like the Estrella Galizias and the Junior League bikes. So, you know, obviously a little bit more work on their hands there for the Dutchman and Bo Benjamin, but a great start for him. And look at that lead already from 1 here. That's 0.7 he's taken out in the first sector.
That's an incredible performance from him yet again. You know, we saw this in race 1, and it looks like this huge group, including Masia and Arbolino, are again just going to be dicing with each other, allowing Mir to extend his lead yet again.
Arbolino, another brilliant start. Did this in the last race from 8th to 4th in the first couple of corners. Look at him. They're just behind Pizzoli on the Junior League bike.
Yeah, a really good start from all of those riders. It looks like Canet has started to he's made a better start than he did in race 1, up to 14th now, just behind Toba with Valtellini. Valtellini not making a great start. 43 was on the podium last time out, but now is down the order a bit. But, you know, hopefully for Valtellini, he'll be able to latch onto the back of Canet as he fights his way through.
Another half a second for me through that second sector. That's 64.8, where the next person was a 65.3 seconds. So that just shows the pace of that Leopard bike at the front.
And that's a huge gap as they come past our commentary box. Absolutely massive. There is no way anyone's getting a slipstream off Mir with that gap.
Arbolino was up into 3rd on the 658 bike, but yeah, and he manages to hold it behind Masia, just ahead of Pizzoli.
Yep, and again, we see all three of those Leglise Academy bikes all dicing with each other. Certainly there's no teamwork going on there, and I think that especially on that last lap, it'll be elbows out and, you know, take what you can out of those three riders.
Yeah, Mir, as you say, breaking away at the front. Massia riding brilliantly there, ahead of Arbolino and Pizzoli in 4th. Now let's do a Canet check. Yeah, he's into 11th already from 18th on the grid, so similar to the first race. He kind of didn't look like he was going to set the race alight, but then came through brilliantly.
Yep, also a strong start from Belega. Belega had a bit of a tough race in race 1, never really challenged anywhere, but now it looks like he's up there again, fighting for 2nd.
And Dalla Porta just made a move on Arbolino there into 3rd, so Dalla Porta getting a wriggle on. Arbolino there in 4th, 5th is Arenas, 6th Belega. So yeah, Belega, I think he's been listening to you, Harry. He knows he's got to put a performance this race. You weren't happy with him after the last one.
Nah, bit disappointed in him, but someone I'm not disappointed in is Juan Mir, who again, 2 seconds already. It looks like it's going to be a repeat of race 1 almost.
And just look at Canet already coming past Benchnader there. That's incredible. He's got up into 7th. He's now going to start trying to track down Pizzoli in front of him on the Junior Leglise bikes, sorry, the Leglise Academy bikes.
Yeah, certainly this is a much better performance from Canet, and with this pace he might be able to even break away from this group if he can, depending on what his pace is versus theirs. With the 2-second gap already, I think that Mir might be a bit too far ahead, but, you know, anything's possible with Canet. He has produced some incredible performances, and in Moto3, anything is possible. Some debris flying off there. As I think
those were just tear-offs. I saw 1 or 2 getting done at the same time, so but hopefully that wasn't any debris. But as you say, look at Dalla Porta coming out of that slipstream on Massia. Arenas behind him, but Massia managing to hold on there.
Massia really strong on the brakes, I've seen. You know, obviously being a smaller rider, he has to get less mass stopped. However, saying that, it looks like that Dalla Porta has the corner speed to get ahead of him.
And Arenas has snuck through. They just carried more momentum. Look at that. Belega as well has snuck through. And Massia and Arbolino looks has got through as well.
Arbolino looks for the inside, but no, it's Belega who leads that group through turn 1. Oh, but runs it wide. Very wide, as the Husqvarna duo slip through.
Yeah, there we go. There's the Leglise Academy bikes taking advantage of that mistake from Belega. Arbolino in 4th. So if you're watching this and thinking, well, hang on, these guys are winning. No, that's Mir at the front running around already, as you say, 3.3 seconds after just 2 laps. The gap to the leader, unbelievable. And the 2 Estrella Galizia 00 junior team bikes, they're really struggling. Canet already, and there's Lawson Waters.
Yep, unfortunately back into the pits. Clearly those problems didn't resolve themselves, and a disappointing end to the Australian, who's had a pretty tough time in Spain so far. He was pretty dominant in the Australian Moto3 Championship. I watched him at what used to be called Eastern Creek, and he absolutely dominated those races, but having some problems now at this much higher stage.
Through no fault of his own, though, as you say, technical problem in in the out lap as they were taken to the grid, forced him to stall, and it looks like he's got technical problems with the bike. Maybe something to do with the heat, but this is Mir commanding already, a 1:59.9, his best lap. Well, everyone else is in the 2:06 is the best other time I can see on the timing screen. So, yeah, 3.8 second lead. That is just going to grow and grow and grow. As you can see, it was only 3.3 when they crossed the last line last time. But it's Dalla Porta, Arenas, the 2 Leglise Academy bikes next up in 2nd and 3rd. And then we see that Massia has got past Arbolino into 4th place.
Yeah, and it looks like there's maybe a bit of a gap starting to form between 9th and 10th, which is Powie in 9th and Van Haren in 10th. But really, you know, once they get onto that straight, any gap that's less than 0.3 really closes up, because the slipstream just sucks everyone together, and we do have this huge train of riders coming through as Alberto Arenas looks up the inside, but teammate Dalla Porta closes the door on him. But you know, not to give up, Arenas tries to the outside and will look to have the better drive onto the straight.
Yeah, the first 22 riders separated by something like 11 seconds. So as you can tell, they're very, very close and competitive as they come past us here to complete lap 3 of 15.
And a big crash coming out of the final corner. Can't quite see what those riders are from our commentary position, but it does look like there are 3 riders unfortunately down, and one of the riders is quite angry, jumping around, slamming the ground. So hopefully we'll be able to get a picture up on the screen for everyone in a second. Yeah,
yellow flag at turn 17. That is literally the last turn as you come onto the start-finish straight. And what does that mean? Well, it means that, we're actually looking at Pizzoli there, sorry, that Dalla Porta has got a bit of a gap now over Arenas at the front of this group chasing the leader. I mean, I say chasing, they're 4.6 seconds back after 3 laps.
Yep, and there we go. There are the scenes at the final corner, turn 17. Marshals attending to the incident. It looks like most riders are up and walking, which is always good to see, but those wave double yellows are out, which means no overtaking. It looks like that is Adam Norris. No, that's
Martin Van Haren, Stefano Valtellini, and Kaito Toba, the Age Talent Team rider. That's another crash for him. That's so much pace this season, do you know what I mean? But until we see what happened, obviously.
And a big disappointment, especially for Valtellini after his podium in race 1. It looks like that Toba is okay overall, though.
Yes, and we'll get confirmation on that. But here is Mir already, and he's still lapping 0.3 quicker in that first sector than everyone else, 0.3 of a second. And he will be coming onto the back straight very shortly, won't he? So it'll be interesting to see.
Almost a 5-second lead already.
There we go, look at that. So the double yellow flag's out of turn, still out at turn 17, so the rider's not allowed to overtake to come around the final corner. This bike's now being moved out of the way.
Yep, so good job of the marshals to get that all cleared up. And it'll be interesting to see if, if maybe some riders get themselves into a position where they sort of have to overtake, with 4 riders there all dicing to get ahead of each other. And you line up a move and maybe you can't stop it.
Sorry to throw there, but Arenas just moves into second place by Dalla Porta. But as we said that, here comes his teammate Dalla Porta back down the straight.
Yep, and both those Leglise Academy bikes working excellently together as Dalla Porta slices in front of Arenas with Masia just sitting behind.
Yeah, Canet not quite, he's got it back into 5th place now. He's done brilliantly to come from 18th on the grid, but not quite finding it as easy to get past Masia as last time. But then again, they had a bit of a race on battle, and it was, as we see there, all riders okay. So riders 32, which is Toba, 43 and 91, Martin Van Haren, all absolutely fine. So great work for the marshals to get that cleared up as well. And we can see them actually going back to the pit lane on the scooters now, those riders.
Yep, but meanwhile, it looks like Aaron Canet was tapping onto the back of his bike there. That is Moto3 sign language for get on the back of me, don't try and overtake me, we'll catch up with these two, and I'll suck you along as we get ahead of them, and then you and I can sort out who gets on this podium.
It makes sense. They're teammates, and at the moment, they'll just be holding each other up by overtaking each other, not being able to take their ideal lines around the track. So he just says exactly that. Follow me, use my slipstream, we'll both catch these guys and make sure they can't go away, because these Academy riders are doing exactly that. They are starting to look like they're trying to pull a gap at the front by working as a team.
Yeah, but just wait till we get to the straight, The rider ahead, he has to pull along all the other riders who are behind him in his slipstream, but the slipstream also sometimes slows down the rider's top speed just a tiny bit. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen on this straight. But Masia, with his tiny stature, is certainly one to watch on this straight, especially with 3 riders ahead of him. That slipstream will be huge for him.
Yeah, and you're right, we've seen him go past riders in race 1 like they were standing still, and I think that's down to his slight form and his ability to take advantage of the slipstream. But look at that gap from Mir.
It's dominant.
Huge. He must be bored. That's the problem. He's probably, he's enjoying a nice ride out around the track, but 5.3 second gap already.
And the TV camera actually makes that gap a lot closer than it really is. I mean, there is a noticeable difference between when Mir crosses the line and when this swarm of riders, as Canet gets absolutely pushed back by the 2 Leglise riders.
Yeah, he tried to move up the inside there, and Arenas came through on Dalla Porta and his teammate, and Canet tried to sneak through as well, but Dalla Porta shutting the door rather aggressively. But I think we might see, as you say, Dalla Porta looking to come back into 2nd place. Masia having a look up the inside of Canet, and behind them, that is Nicola Balega.
Yeah. And it looks like those 5 riders have made a slight gap ahead of Arbolino, who looks to be a bit on his own in 7th. But certainly those 5 are all going to be dicing for 2nd and 3rd, get those last 2 podium spots.
Yeah, and Powie, as we saw before, having a great race, he's up to 8th. He'll be hopefully to get back pushing for the podium. Pizzoni dropped down to 9th, Ben Schneider 10th, and Bezecchi 11th.
An excellent move there from Canet to get up the inside of Albert Arenas. Just behind them is the biggest rider, Nicolo Balega, battling with the smallest rider, Masia. So that'll definitely be an interesting battle, and I think that if it comes down to get out of my way, please, that Balega might win that one over Masia.
And Masia, they will have the weight advantage for the drag on the straight, so it's a very interesting battle, as you say. Look at that fastest lap on lap 5 we've just seen him complete at 1:59.895, so he's just getting quicker. But he's the other riders are lapping. If you look, actually, Canet's best lap is only 0.2 off that. So
yeah, they're getting there certainly, and the pace from Mir, that's identical, if not better, to most of the pace that is set in the World Championship level Moto3 when they were here last year.
And just Balega there making a move on Canet to move into 4th position. And as you say, Arbolino at the back of this group behind that Powie, there's a 2nd gap almost now. So from 7th to 8th, definitely starting to break away.
Yeah, but as all these 5 dice with each other, it looks like Arbolino has been able to get back up there. And, especially down this straight with all those riders breaking the air for him, that he'll make big moves. And I think we could see some pretty ambitious moves from him into turn 1. Turn 1 being a favourite overtaking place, as it is this tight left-handed 90-degree corner, so you can really leave it late on the brakes and just slam them shut.
And there goes Balega, as you say, actually taking Arenas to move into 3rd position and separate those 2 Legalese Academy bikes. It's just, oh, and look, Balega not afraid to use his elbows there.
No, certainly. That's one thing you'll notice about Balega is because of his big size, he really has to make big movements to get tucked into that slipstream.
Look at Arenas on the inside. Oh,
excellent move around the outside there from Balega to defend and actually move up into second place.
yeah, and I think from here, I mean, it's to say he's not going to be able to hunt down Mir, who now has a 6-second advantage at the front, but Balega, having fought his way through the field, I just don't know if he's going to be able to break away from this pack. They're working together so well.
Yeah, and especially with that many riders, the slipstream will allow so many riders to stick with him. But here we have Masia looking up the inside of Canet, not quite close enough, but Masia now also has to worry about Arbolino just behind him.
Yeah, Masia on those brakes is dangerous, but here comes Canet trying to work his way inside Arenas. Can he make it stick? Yeah, it looks like he can, so that is...
Yep, just gets past him. And Arenas has to sit up out of the seat as he runs onto the rumble strips there, just at the back of the screen.
And Dalla Porta now almost made a move on Balega, just eyeing him up as they come through turns 8 and 9, or as we've been affectionately calling it, the Aragon corkscrew.
Yep, certainly. That's almost a 3-story drop. Balega taking a bit more of a wider line to try and get a better run onto this run down to turn 11, which is, you know, on a Moto3 bike, that's pretty much flat out.
Yeah, and it's great to see. Look, these guys actually seem to have... is it Arbolino behind them? Just getting dropped a little bit. In fact, looking at the looks of it, Balega... Oh, Dalla Porta with a huge moment.
You can even high-side a Moto3 bike, so Arbolino will have to be a bit careful there. You know, our tyres may be starting to fall off in these much hotter conditions. It'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye out on if there are any other riders who do have the back slip out like that again. That's
incredible, though. Dalla Porta made a mistake like that, but just carries on, hasn't lost a huge amount of time. But Balega... yeah, trying to break these guys. Look at them all following on the slipstream, though, taking advantage of that.
But now you just wait. It'll be Canet who's going to make a move. Has Canet broken too early? It looked like Dalla Porta was waiting in that slipstream a bit longer, but Canet's got the inside line. But no, Masia actually benefits the most from that.
Masia under braking is scarily good. But then look, Canet comes up the inside line as we talk about the different lines you can take through turns 16 and 17, and we see them come out here onto the start, finish straight to complete lap 7, that is for them. Mir confusing me because he's completed lap 7 a while ago. So it is Mir, Balega, Dalla Porta, Canet, Masia, Arenas, Arbolino, Pizzoli, Powie and Bezecchi, your top 10.
Here's a replay of that moment for Dalla Porta. Bit of a slide there, but snaps back right into place and back full on the throttle again. Barely loses any time.
And here is race leader Juan Mir. Juan Mir, just dominant, really, isn't he? 7 seconds ahead after 7 laps down. And it doesn't even look like he's really having to put that much effort in. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost a shame that we can't show Mir as much as we'd like, but this battle for second is so intense.
Balega has a moment, he went a little bit wide, running onto the curbs. He has a moment. Canet moves into 3rd.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, if it does come down to slipstream battle, you have to think that, you know, Balega being so big and being this leading rider, he'll struggle the most if it does come down to a last lap battle along that back straight. Yeah,
as we saw in race 1, actually, it is the back straight where it will all happen, the slipstream. There's not enough of a drag from the turn 17 final corner to the start-finish line to take advantage of a slipstream there. So you need to be coming into the turn 16 really in the lead if you want any chance of winning this race.
And with the back straight being so long, is you can slipstream and then re-slipstream someone a lot of the time. So, you know, you really have to calculate how and when you come out of the slipstream.
Oh, look at
As
Balega
we say
there.
that, Dalla Porta up the inside. Balega tries to respond against his fellow Italian, but no, it looks like that Dalla Porta just holds the advantage as they start the run down onto the back straight. Flick it right, then flick it left, and you're on the straight.
So just to recap, this is a battle for second as Juan Mir is off over 7.5 seconds in the lead, as you can see there. And at the moment, I hate doing this back straight because it's going to change. It is Dalla Porta, Balega, Canet, Masia and Arenas all in the mix there with Arbolino on the back of that group. And, you know, the rest of the group, although they've fallen back a bit, it's not too bad, actually, as you can see there.
No, certainly Alberto Arenas, after he's having to sit up, is towards the back of this group, but anything is still possible. Canet sitting pretty happily, it seems, in the slipstream of Balega.
Yes, and as you say, we just as Mir's come across the line, we're going to see who comes across the line. And look at them chopping and changing, trying to get advantage or get out of each other's slipstream as well. So
Four across into turn 1, beautiful.
Wow. And it's Balega who just cuts across Canet, but Canet, no. Balega's going to have the line.
Drive,
oh,
and
but
almost Masia up the inside, almost touches Canet, manages to just avoid it. As Alberto Arenas gets past Dalla Porta, that was, you know, 3 or 4 changes in position there as all the teammates benefit from the slipstream and, you know, being able to break just that half second later.
An incredible race in there. Masia and Canet almost touched, and then Dalla Porta and Arenas pretty much touched. So as we were saying earlier, no real love lost between these teammates. I'm sure they're all trying to help each other out, but, you know, when it comes to sticking up the inside in Moto3, they're not that fussed.
No, and while all of this has happened, Davide Pizzoli has managed to close it up, so there's now a 3rd Leglise bike in this mix. as Balega continues to lead this small little group. But Masia is just watching and waiting with Canet there, and if I were Canet, I'd be very scared of my pint-sized teammate.
Yeah, and Benchnader at the back of this group, the leading 11, really. You have Benchnader, and then it's a 4-second gap after that to Senna Yamada in 12th. So really, the top 11, all in a mix with this, especially because I think, as you say, fatigueness and tiredness is going to kick in. These guys are just closing up, and no one's going to be able to pull away.
Yeah, but look at that. Masia later on the brakes, but manages to not just get past Canet. Canet taking a bit more of a tighter line, bit defensive there, to try and hold him off. Meanwhile, it looks like Canet's lining up a move on Balega. He had to think about it there, but nah, he'll wait for the slipstream, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Canet, having a look. He knows that there's no point getting involved before you get onto this back straight because of the advantage of slipstream, especially someone as big as Balega will give even Canet. He's not the smallest guy. Just need to watch Masia coming flying up the inside here.
Yeah, but there we go, Muir disappearing out of the shot just as we cut to this chasing group. Canet looking for the inside, but there comes Masia, the silent assassin, just slipping through.
What did we say? His lightness, you're right, and his brilliant lateness on the brakes just allows him to slip through there as they come through turn 16. But look, Arenas has taken him back as they come through turn 17.
Both of those Leglise bikes seem to have really good lines through there, and in the second part of that corner, or technically the second corner, seem to be able to just respond and cut back through.
You know, interesting, Masia ran very wide there, like he went very wide to the side of the circuit, but he seems to have just let everyone through. Oh, but then Arenas messed up, or was that Della Porta?
Big moment there. No, I think that's Alberto Arenas. Della Porta continues to lead ahead of Canet and Masia, with Balega now looking to get past Masia.
Yes, you're right. So that is Della Porta at the front, and Balega. They're just swapping places so many times. This is why we love the Moto3 Junior World Championship. And don't forget, we obviously have another race still to come today, the Moto2 European Superbike Championship. Sorry, European Championship coming up next. But yeah, this is Della Porta leading the way ahead of Canet and Masia.
Yep, and meanwhile, Mir continues to extend his lead. 9 seconds. My theory about the heat maybe closing it up seems to have been thrown completely out the window, but luckily we have this excellent fight for second to keep us entertained.
Yeah, I mean, this is a brilliant battle, and it's just being joined by more and more riders, as you can see there. It is the top 11 before there's a 5-second gap back to Senna Yamada, who, as we say, crashed out of race 1 and recovered in time to go out, and Polanco, Boulom, Darte completing the point-scoring positions.
Yeah, and you know, all those big 5-across moves into turn 1, not only are they spectacular to watch, but if you're in that chasing group behind them, you're really happy to see that, because you know that none of them are taking the ideal line when they're 5 across.
They're all tripping each other up. You're completely right.
Exactly. As they now come back down in front of the Aragon wall, this famous wall, that is a very big wall, I must say, and the riders start their run back down onto the straight again. This straight plays such a critical part. We keep harping on about it, but the straight is just so critical.
And let's, as you say, let's watch, after they've slipstream, watch the lines from the the Leglise Academy bikes, because they do take a different line through turn 16 and 17 that sees to see them come out onto the straight at a big advantage.
And certainly someone like Alberto Arenas can come back from being, 5th in this group to being, in theory, 2nd overall. That'll be big for the final lap.
So Balega leading into turn 16. This is 2 turns here, but look at that straight away, as we say, those Leglise Academy bikes.
Much wider line, but it looked like Masia just blocked him a bit there as he tried to get the good drive out.
So that Porta leads across the line.
He'll be able to get there on the slipstream for sure. As you say, Della Porta leads, but it's Canet on the brakes.
Oh, he makes Della Porta stand up, and that means that Masia comes through as well. And look at Balega being forced wide.
Yep, Balega getting pushed back as well. So it's now Australia Galicia 1-2 in this chasing group. It's a 2-3 overall in reality.
One Mir, as we say, on the Leopard racing bike disappeared at the front. He's now 9.5 seconds ahead after we've completed 10 laps, still lapping considerably quicker than everyone else, at least half a second as well.
Yeah, 0.8 of a second quicker than Della Porta. There is a concerned parent looking on as her child no doubt does vicious battle on the field. Masia looking at the inside of Della Porta. Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, and he has a moment there, Masia. So is Arenas going to come back past him? And Della Porta could take advantage of that.
Yep, but the good thing about Masia is that he is so light, so he's able to accelerate very quickly, not having to shift as much mass. And now through the corkscrew.
That was very brave from Della Porta. He went past him in the first part of the corkscrew, which is an unbelievable move. I haven't seen that all day today, so that was brilliant from him to retake 3rd position at the expense of Masia. I don't think Masia is expecting that.
No, but while all of this is happening, Canet is able to put in a 0.4 of a second gap, so this is really benefiting Canet. And all these guys behind, at 0.4 you start to lose the benefit of the slipstream. So I think someone needs to tap onto the back of their bike and say, let's all go together and we'll try and hunt him down.
I'm quite enjoying this overtaking though, so I hope they don't. It's just just brilliant, as you say, to get to see this. And the racecraft these young riders are getting, which will put them in good stead when it comes to the Moto3 World Championship, which we see this kind of racing in all the time. But Mir doing like his teammate in the World Championship, Danny Kent has done. They have the same technician, the same engineer technician, Mr. Ericsson. He has pulled away, as we say, over 10-second lead now. It is all about this battle for second, which as you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders involved in now.
Yep, Masia looks to be trying to make a move here, but as we say again, Alberto Arenas seems to be really strong through these final 2 corners. He takes a bit of a wider line than cutting back in close as they go through there, but it's Canet who leads, and both of those Leglise Academy bikes able to get right back ahead of him, with now Della Porta trying to get through to the lead, and
Canet is not. See, that was a bit cheeky of Canet, because Della Porta actually Canet come up the inside, if you know what I mean. But yeah, he stood Della Porta up there, and there was nowhere for Della Porta to go. So he either had to make contact or stand himself up, and he's dropped back to what, like 7th now or 8th.
But it's now Alberto Arenas who leads this chasing group. Canet, you know, having to push Della Porta wide didn't really help him fully. But Canet's looking for a way up the inside and just slips past. Can Masia get through?
Stick,
no.
But yeah, there we go. Look at Arenas come back. So this is the incredible thing. Different lines, beautifully demonstrated the advantages and disadvantages of different racing lines around the same corner there. Quicker in one section, but lost out on getting the power down, and lost out to Arenas as he came out of the corner. Canet having a look back there.
Exactly, and different bikes will favour different lines as well. Obviously, the KTM, the Husqvarna, and the Hondas all having different engine characteristics, which, you know, maybe a sweeping line is better for the Honda, whereas a nice tight shoot and squirt line is better for the KTMs.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just recap. Juan Mir at the lead by almost 11 seconds now. But Arenas in second place in the Leglise Academy bike, ahead of Aaron Canet, who had to come back from 18th on the grid, and his teammate Jean Masia. And here comes Canet having a little look up the inside of Arenas. He's got to be careful though, because as you say, if he takes a bad line, stands it up, then Masia is just going to nip through.
Yeah, and with all of these tight corners followed by another tight corner, you know, sometimes going up the inside isn't always the best. Sometimes you do want to go around the outside to try and then get the inside line into the next corner as they come onto the straight. Canet is just behind Arenas, with Masia just behind those two, so I reckon Masia will try, as he has done almost every lap, something big into these final 2 corners.
I think you might be right, actually. It'll be interesting, because we never got to see, obviously, the last lap battle, which they've been planning for the whole way for race 1 due to the red flag after 13 laps. So it'll be very interesting to see, actually, who makes a move on that penultimate lap, because look, there comes
Della Porta with the inside line, just powers it through,
look at Arenas.
Opens the door for Belega as well. So Belega is able to take advantage of that, say thank you very much, steams past those 2 Australia Galicia bikes.
And Belega, as you say, actually had a bit of a disadvantage because of his size, being one of the biggest riders out there. And yeah, we can see that Della Porta now leads in second place, leads his battle for second into turn 1 ahead of Belega and then Masia, with Canet just behind.
Yep, and Pizzoli's now, he's still right with them, you know, 0.1 for Pizzoli just behind. It looks like, unfortunately, that Tony Arbolino, who was right up there, Tony Arbolino has now dropped way back to 15th spot. So, you know, maybe a problem or a huge moment for him, because he set a 2:03 on that last lap, whereas most of the front guys are setting 2:01s.
I think he either ran wide or he's having issues. So let's just have a look back at Juan Mir at the lead. 11.4 seconds the gap is after completing 12 laps. That's pretty impressive stuff from the young rider.
Yep, and you know, also much the same as race 1 is we have guys like Ben Schneider, who were strong at the start of the race, but now outside the top 10. Senna Yamada, good performance from him after his pretty nasty race 1 crash. He'll definitely be sore now. And again, we see Kyril Powie just, you know, not quite up there where we expected him to be this weekend. Yeah,
he's, as you say, it's so rare you don't see him battling for the podium, but not quite just been able to find the right setup or find his groove this weekend here at MotorLand Aragón. But one man who has is Juan Mir, and if he obviously goes on to take this race 2 win, that'll be 2 race wins at a pole position and fastest lap. So top work from him and his Mercado Leopard Junior team.
And especially if Canet does finish, you know, off the podium down in 5th, he'll be able to continue to eke into that championship lead and, you know, maybe give himself a fighting chance of the championship after 2 unfortunate DNFs in earlier rounds.
Yeah, right now this is where it starts to get interesting. These guys are sizing up what they're going to do on that last lap. So we're on lap 30 to 15 now, and look at Canet coming down the inside. Can he hold on to it into turn 16? No, Belega's going to come across and take his nose off. That's where you've got to be strong, you've got to be brave, Belega, and he knows he didn't want to give up that position, but then Canet's got the inside line, carries the speed, but again, those Leglise Academy bikes come onto that straight so quickly.
All 3 of them take a much tighter exit than the rest of the riders. Clearly, those guys have been talking together, showing each other other some lines, and they've found that that's the best for battling.
And here comes Dalla Porta back into the lead of this group, battling for second, but only for a split second as Canet goes straight past him.
Once again, Canet standing up Dalla Porta. Clearly those two are probably not on each other's Christmas card list, because Canet's, especially into turn one, has put through some hard moves.
There's a hard move on Masia there as well from Balega. He stood him up going into that corner. So, yeah, we're starting to see a little bit more aggression here now from these guys.
Yeah, and with only 2 laps to go, you know, this is when you really have to get the elbows out and try and make as big a gap as you can. It looks like Balega, they're struggling a bit with Dalla Porta able to, you know, eke out some valuable tenths of a second.
Yeah, Masia closed up there on Balega quite a lot, and it did look like Balega just had a little moment coming out the corner as he ran onto the curbs. So let's have a look. Masia, yep, just slides past him. Can he hold it through the next corner? And he's made it stick.
Oh, very wide there from Alberto Arenas as he gets ahead of his teammate Davide Pozzoli, but Pozzoli looks to then have the inside line as they run through turn 10.
So it's Canet at this lead of this group, ahead of Dalla Porta and Balega. They're just starting to break that gap now between Dalla Porta and Balega. Maybe that's just me getting a little bit too excited though, but look, here comes Masia up the inside of Balega. Now Balega, we know, doesn't take kindly. No, he's not going to pull out of a corner, so Masia needs to be careful.
Especially into these two tight right and then left-hand corners onto the straight, is you can really make some ambitious moves here and try and block your opponent getting a good run. That's exactly what Balega's trying to do.
Look at that, and as you
Masia to stand up.
And that means that Masia is not going to carry that momentum onto the straight. You might see him go a little bit backwards now. Maybe because he's light, he might not be at too distant advantage. And we've got a yellow flag down at turn 9.
Yep, that'll be one of the guys further back outside the top 15,
yep.
Who has unfortunately crashed at turn 9, so there'll be no overtaking at turn 9 until the marshals can get that scene cleared up.
And Masia's size there and massive advantages. Even though he lost so much momentum going onto the straight, he managed to hold on to the 4th position. But there, look, comes the Leglise Academy bikes once more. But this is Dalla Porta on Canet for second.
Starting the last lap, so this will be the last time that Canet has a chance to push Dalla Porta wide at turn 1. Canet's looking for the inside line, but Dalla Porta just ahead, just enough to maintain that advantage. Yeah,
as you say, Canet's favourite manoeuvre, really, isn't it? Coming hard on the inside into turn 1, making the other rider stand up. This is going to get very exciting, but 1 minute right at the front, 11.2 seconds ahead. Absolute class ride from the young Spaniard.
Yep, and there was Mer's team looking on, expectantly awaiting him once again in Parc Ferme. It looks like he's on course for the double this weekend. A really strong performance from him. You know, he goes from having won 50% of races and crashed out of the other 50% to now having a clear winning advantage in terms of percentages. And a bit of a look there from Canet, which allows Dalla Porta to slip through.
Yeah, no, I think it's also a psychological advantage, you know. It's to go out there and dominate like he has here. When we move to the next round in Albacete, it's going to be very hard for anyone to psychologically, you know, obviously Canet knows he got the pace, but he's not running at this pace. So I think this is a psychological blow for Mir, who, as you say, wasn't leading the championship before this round. So.
No, just a handful of corners, and it looks like that Canet, unless something disastrous happens, will still be leading this championship overall, but certainly that gap's closed down. And here we go. Here's the battle for the final 2 podium spots. It looks like it's Dalla Porta in front, just ahead of Canet.
Yeah, Dalla Porta, Canet making a move at the inside. Masia also coming, trying to squeeze through the middle there.
Canet goes down, takes down Dalla Porta. That's absolutely huge for this championship. Moto3 going down to the last lap, exciting as anything. It looks like it's Masia who's currently in second with Alberto Arenas that looks like just behind him. But absolutely massive drama on this last lap.
Yeah, that was drama. It is Masia there. Canet being taken out by Dalla Porta, it looks like. And that was just Amir crosses the line to take his victory. 2nd race win today from pole position and fastest lap. So he completes the triumph. But here we go across the line, and it is going to be Masia Arenas. And Masia cuts across him.
Masia, beautiful
done. And Arenas is over the moon as well. Sorry about that. Arenas celebrating, and we still got riders finishing here as we see. Ben Schneider.
A wonderful last lap bit of drama there. Huge for the championship. Powie gets promoted to 6th position. Balega in 5th. Pozzoli in 4th. A really strong showing from Davide Pozzoli. Absolutely his best performance of the year so far.
So just to confirm, riders both okay. That Aaron Canet and Lorenzo Dalla Porta, Leglise Academy guy, and Canet on the junior team Estrella Glitzy 00 Honda going down. But Juan Mir, your race winner by 11.3 seconds. And Harry's just going to head down to Parc Ferme to see if he can grab his 2nd interview with the young Spaniard from Palma de Mallorca. So Catalan man himself. But brilliant ride and complete dominance here over the whole of the 2 races in the Moto3 Junior World Championship. And as we were just saying, the psychological blow and the big difference that means is if Canet... It looks like he might have remounted, but if Canet doesn't finish, well, he's not going to finish inside the points. So 0 points for Canet, which could mean that Mir has closed the gap massively in the World Championship standings. So Incredibly dramatic end to the race there. Masia did brilliantly to take second place. You could see him swerving across on the line to ensure that Albert Arenas, who took the third podium position, couldn't take back second as he carried that speed out. He learned, that's what you want to see in this championship. He learned that Leglise Academy bike was going to take a different line in the final corner, so he needed to do something to stop him overtaking him. And brilliant work from young João Masia, just 14 years of age, and you actually get to see him on the podium now, the 14-year-old from Valencia. And as we mentioned, you'll see what we mean by him being a really small young lad. And there we go, Arenas. I think he was delighted when he crossed the line. He was punching the air. At first I thought he was angry because of the manoeuvre by Masia, but then you realise he was just so happy to secure a podium. Brilliant work there from Albert Arenas. And his first podium of the season. Best place finished before this was 4th in Catalonia Race 1. So top work from Arenas and that Leglise Academy team. In 4th, it was Pizzoli, so his teammate recovering to take 4th. Brilliant work. Nico Balega finished in 5th. Kyle Powie in 6th, so great recovery from Powie in the last stage. Here we go. Masia up the inside. There we go. It was so unfortunate. It was Arenas who actually caused that accident. I wonder if Race Direction might have a look at that, because it's taken out, obviously, Canet and Della Porta, and Arenas benefited from that, taking 3rd on the podium. So I don't know if there's going to be an incident there reviewed by Race Direction. We'll have to wait and see, because it looked like he just ran in there a little bit hot, was never going to get stopped, and he used Canet's bike as a brake. But bike's pulling in to park Ferme now. So as it stands, as I said, Powie in 6th, Bezecchi finished in 7th, Ben Schneider took 8th, Senna Yamada recovering from his crash earlier in race 1 for 9th, Boulon, Enzo Boulon, great finish for him in 10th, Yuta Date in 11th, Tony Arbolino 12th, Max Kapler 13th, Alage View in 14th, and Adam Norridin for the Age Talent team taking the final championship point on offer in 15th. And it's Polanco who crosses the line in 16th, ahead of Cristiano Carpi and Nunez in 18th, and yet Canet and Della Porta obviously not remounting, couldn't get round, and Simon Delillo, Petrarca, Valtellini, Van Haren, Toba and Waters all unable to finish the race. But as we say, Juan Mir, look at that, from pole position. This young 17-year-old from Palma de Mallorca, who has already confirmed that he'll be making the step up with that Leopard Racing team into the Moto3 World Championship next year. And you can see why people are excited about him. Just complete calm in these conditions to head away at the front. I mean, he just took about half a second in the first sector, which we'll see on the highlights coming up shortly. But just a brilliant result from him. And he'll be getting ready to chat to Harry. I know he's probably nervous about meeting the great Harry Lloyd. So congratulations to Juan Mir on the race win. Let's get the final results then. Confirmation of Juan Mir winning that race by 11.3 seconds. Brilliant. And it is 3 Spaniards on the podium once more today. João Masia, the 14-year-old, taking second place ahead of Albert Arenas, Davide Pizzoli, Nicolo Balega and Kyle Powie. Then Bezecchi, Ben Schneider and Senna Yamada, they're your top 9. And we should be going down to Harry in Parc Ferme to have a chat with the double race winner from today, the man who's led from pole from start to finish and set up the fastest lap. It is Juan Mir. Just have a quick look back. Boulon 10th, Date 11th, that was the leading Age Talent team bike. Arbolino 12th, Kapler 13th, Few 14th, Norridin 15th, as I mentioned, Polanco, Copy and Nunez, your final top 18. So with half the races done in the 2015 Junior Moto3 World Championship, let's go have a chat to Juan Mir down in Parc Ferme, who is there with Harry.
Another perfect race for you there. Were there any changes you made between race 1 and race 2?
No, we don't change nothing. It's the same bike, and well, it's a fantastic race. Very difficult, a lot of hot, but finally I can conseguir. I can win, okay? Sorry, I can win, and then I'm very happy. Another victory for me. It's perfect. I think that Canet crashed today. Well, it's a pity, but I think that I'm close to him in the championship. Bueno, ha sido una carrera muy difícil. He intentado mantener la concentración todas las vueltas, pero bueno, al final he podido conseguir la victoria. Estoy muy contento. Quiero dar gracias al equipo. Hemos hecho un fin de semana perfecto y bueno, pues ahora un poquito de vacaciones y a seguir trabajando.
So there we go, double race winner Juan Mir, and as you said, with Canet crashing out on that last lap, it does mean that he will have closed the gap in the championship. We'll get an updated standings very, very shortly. But first, we're going to have a look back on the highlights on the Moto3 Junior World Championship Race 2 as Harry makes his way back up there. And there is Canet. Kind of obviously was happy at that point in time because he thought he was going to have a race second in race 1 and get on the podium again. But from the line, it was Mir who got a great start with Davide Pizzoli almost catching him into turn 1. But Mir just led from start to finish once more. Brilliant, consummate performance from the 17-year-old Spaniard. In fact, look at that. It was Masia who sneaked up into second from the opening corner. And we had a battle for second that encapsulated, as I say, at one point, up to 11, 12 riders. It was spectacular. There was overtaking all over the shop, and it was a shame we had to have a couple of incidents to spoil it towards the end, but that is racing, as you know. And you can see the two Leglise Academy bikes there of Arenas, Dalla Porta, and of Masia and Canet, who got involved at this point. Canet had caught up already from 18th on the grid. And look, that was a huge moment for Arenas there. He was coming out of the corner. Balega had found himself in second position ahead of Canet at some point, and in fact was looking like quite commanding. He was going to be battling out for those podium spots, but then look, Canet and Masia behind Balega, those guys definitely working together in the incident we're about to see. That was Canet taking Dalla Porta for second place, but running wide and allowing Arenas through. And look, that's what affected Dalla Porta and made him drop down before he recovered. And we had the incident, which I think we're going to see in just a second. But Juan Mir taking his race victory. Look, he was completely commanding, and you've just been chatting to him, Harry, down in Parc Fermé. You know, what a confident young man. This is the instant, though, as you see it again, you just see.
Bit of a touch there that sent Canet down, I think.
Yeah, it was Arenas made contact with him, coming up the inside, couldn't get it stopped. Canet obviously had nowhere to go apart from into Dalla Porta. Didn't stop Mir at the front, but I was thinking maybe Race Direction might have a look at that, but we've had no confirmation that that's going to happen.
No, it looks like it was just a racing incident. You know, Mir overjoyed to claim another victory and really good for his championship. Then Masia as well, first podium for him in the CEV and first podium for Albert Arenas this year. So a really good result for both of them. And, you know, lots of crying parents in Parc Fermé, which is already good to see as the riders now take to the podium for the second time today. Yeah,
you do, as you say, one of the great things about this championship is very open paddock. You do get to see the families of riders, and look at Masia, as we were saying. There. I mean, he's on the bottom, the second step of the podium, but yeah, he could maybe do a box to stand on probably, but a brilliant ride from the young rider, especially to hold on to that position. Second place, you say, ahead of Arenas, who was coming so hard across the line.
Yep, and trophy there just going to the Leopard Mikado racing team. As you say, Masia is pretty small. I don't think his hat quite fits.
I think he's got two hats on there as well to try and make it look a little bit bigger. But yeah, it doesn't quite. His head needs to grow a little bit to fit inside that Dunlop hat. But as we're about to see the presentation of the rest of the riders, it's great to see in this Moto3 Junior World Championship this kind of talent coming through, isn't it? You know,
yep, certainly. And you know, results like this will help Albert Arenas and Masia try and secure those Moto3 rides. As we said earlier, Mir has already secured his Moto3 ride for next year with the Leopard racing team that currently leads the championship with Danny Kent.
And as we've seen with Fabio Quartararo, who won the FIM CEV Moto3 Championship last year, going to the World Championship, people are touting him as a future world champion. Maybe people will be saying the same about Mir. Just unfortunate, really, for Canet crashing out, but it will make the championship standings very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. That's Canet's first time off the podium this season. You know, obviously fighting to third in that first race. But, you know, these things happen. He still has the lead's reduced, but he'll still have an okay lead over Mir as Mir gets his second free fuel check of the day. Nothing better than coming home not only with a bottle of fizzy water, since everyone's under 18, but also some more free fuel. Yeah,
totally. And as you say, I think Canet will learn an important lesson here. He fought back brilliantly in race 1 to take third from 21st in the grid. Fought back again to get involved with the battle for second from 18th in the grid in race 2. But, you know, just wasn't meant to be. And we're going to get the Spanish national anthem now.
And there we have it, your race podium for race 2 of the Junior World Championship Moto3. Double win for Mir there. Now the fizzy water will come out. It looks like Albert Arenas there, clearly over 18, so is allowed to carry off his carver there, not wanting to waste any as Masia and Mir spray each other with champagne. A wonderful day for all these riders. Another time of hearing the Spanish national anthem up there on the podium. Will anything change for race 2 of Moto2 later today?
And the noise down actually in the paddock is pretty impressive. Loads of air horns going off, very popular. Another triple Spanish podium. We've not seen just the Spanish flag flying on the podium today, but that's the last 2 races in a row. We've had 3 Spanish flags on the top steps of the podium in the Moto2 European Championship race. Sorry, in the Superbike European Championship race and also Moto3 European Championship race. So here is confirmation of what it will do to the championship. As you say, Canet still holds on to his championship lead.
6 points, though.
Just 6 points to Mir, and with the 4 mirrors in. It's going to be interesting if we can hold that to next round. Powie in third. Now, that's pretty impressive for Powie because, as you say, he hasn't had the best races today, bit of damage limitation, but he seems to manage to have done a good job. Belega in fourth there, and Arenas in fifth. The man who actually caused the accident, obviously, to Canet and...
Bo Ben Snyder just behind him, sixth with 60 points. So, you know, that battle for fifth, still very close. Then Senna Yamada in 10th, Davide Pezzoli, Lorenzo Petrarca, Martin Van Herren, despite his crash, still in 13th. Marco Basecchi comes in at 14th. This is obviously the first weekend of the year, so a really good showing from him. David Sanchez ahead of Kaito Toba, Enzo Boulon, Maxim Kapler in 18th spot in the championship overall. Obviously, with, you know, those guys from 14th down, all those points are really close, so anything could still happen with them.
Yeah, and Bezecchi, as you say, great result for him to kind of finish the second race. He's done really, really well on it. I just think it was brilliant, exciting racing from a commentator's point of view. It's a bit of a nightmare keeping up with who was overtaking who, but superb stuff from the Moto3 Junior World Championship. Next round for the Moto3 Junior World Championship will be in Albacete on the 6th of September. We have one race there, and then the 4th of October in Navarra, one race there, and then 2 races in Jerez on the 1st of November, and 2 races in Valencia on the 15th of November. Now it's time to get ready for the Moto2 European Championship Race 2.